In today's video, we're going to be talking about what has been happening with the Bitcoin price. We've seen a little bit of a dump, then we've seen sort of like a bottom out, and now we're seeing a little bit of a pump. Now, is this going to continue onto the upside, or are we going to be doing what we've seemed to be doing over the past few weeks, and that's hitting resistance points and dumping back down? Also in today's rundown, we're going to be looking at the news. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency has had so much FOMO, bad news thrown at it, from the China banning it, from India banning it, from the environmental saying it's a disaster and Bitcoin should be stopped and cryptocurrencies are a disgrace, etc, etc, from the Elon Musk tweets and all the FOMO around that. What more can be thrown at crypto to sort of give it a bad name and bad news? You know, you've had the US government panicking and trying to sort of, you know, foot it down and stuff like that. So for me, I don't think there can be much more crypto can get thrown at it, but we'll look at the news and we'll look at whether it's good, bad or ugly. So if you want to know what's happening with the Bitcoin price and in today's news, stay tuned and let's get into the video. So today for the Bitcoin price, I'm going to go over what's sort of happening in the market, where Bitcoin's price range is and why I think it's there and what I think's been happening to it. I'm also going to go over about how the news and the tweets have impacted it and why I think that's happened and what's been going on in that area. I also want to talk about something that not a lot of YouTubers are talking about, and that's where the smart money's mindset's at. Now, I know a lot of YouTubers just talk about the chart, they talk about the Bitcoin's dominance and the Bitcoin rate to this, which is great. Honestly, that is absolutely fundamental stuff. But when we're looking at these charts and when we're looking at the way the Bitcoin price is behaving and being manipulated, we need to also understand how the smart money is doing that and what's happening now. The smart money has sort of come to their sort of like mid-level crossroads. Whereas, and what I mean by crossroads is that there's no actual long-term crypto investors selling Bitcoin. When it hits these price brackets, which is the bottom that it's been hitting twice, which I'll show you in the charts of 30,000 odd, people are buying more. So the smart money is sort of losing its avenue of where to grab that cheap fire sale Bitcoin from. And the only way that it can do that is by nicking it off the retail people, by shaking out the weak hands. So it's still trying to squeeze, you could call it, or wring out that last bit of cheap Bitcoin from the weak hands. And as we know, once they've done that with Bitcoin and everything, Bitcoin becomes the king. Then it moves down to Ethereum and the top kind of alts, and then, you know, there's like a domino effect. And then obviously as time goes on, the Bitcoin dominance drops and the altcoin season comes in. But at the moment, there's so much manipulation in the Bitcoin market that I still think that they're trying to wring out the weak hands. Now, I think Bitcoin is in a capitalization kind of area, and that's where the big market is trying to capitalize on an asset that they want. They see grounds in, they see fundamentals in. We all know in the smart money that Bitcoin is the new hot asset class of the year, or however you want to call it, of the flavor of the month. Now, obviously a lot of people getting on board on that. You've got like Michael Saylor saying he's buying $500 million worth of Bitcoin. You've got people saying that they wanted to get into Bitcoin now, and you've got countries taking it on as their national currency. Now, in order to do that, they need to accumulate it, right? So in order to accumulate Bitcoin, you don't want to be paying top dollar for that Bitcoin. You want to be paying bottom dollar and then accumulate it and then sell it on the way up and as high as you can, which is obviously what happened when people accumulate it on the Elon Musk tweet with Tesla at 33,000, buying it all the way up to the 60, blow off top for 64,000 I think Bitcoin went to, and boom, they're dropping it down. Classic market manipulation, right? So I'm going to jump into the charts and I'm going to show you sort of where Bitcoin price is now and what I think's happening to it. Now, you can drop a comment in below and you can tell me what you think's happening to it, but I'm just talking from a perspective and a fundamental of an asset that I see as the same as another asset, and that is how it's getting manipulated. So I've been trading charts for years now, and I've seen this, and people can say they've seen it in the Wycroft chart, or they've seen it in the way the sort of, my favorite is I go along volume and the MACD. Now, you know, when you see that, you can tell when sort of institutions and the smart money are squeezing out, and when they're pumping overpriced Bitcoin. And there's a lot of people saying that, you know, big institutions, I think it's like Tesla had 5% of their whole net worth in Bitcoin. I think Square is about 8%, and I can't remember the other one. I think it's MicroStrategy is more or less nearly 98%. So these companies are basing their whole business entirety, or MicroStrategy is entirety on Bitcoin, and the others are big companies that are run by, well, we say smart people, but obviously Elon Musk, and I don't know, you either love him or hate him. And obviously if they're adapting it, there must be something right with Bitcoin. And like I say, and we'll come back quickly to the earlier point, then that Bitcoin needs to be accumulated. And if people are not selling it, and you've got to think of these long time, high net worth, what I call veteran crypto people that have accumulated Bitcoin and a massive amount of them in the early days, they're not selling it. And even when they do sell it, they're probably accumulating it back as quick as they sell it at a lower price. So the only avenue left, and the only small pond for a lot of big fish to fish into left, is the small retail pond. You know, the likes of my money, the likes of your money, as the market like to call it, the dumb money, and they're just trying to wring it out as much as possible. Now, okay, let's jump into the charts, and I'll show you sort of like where it's been bottoming out and what I think is happening with the price. And then you can obviously drop a comment, let me know what you think. But before we do that, if you smash the like, subscribe, hit the bell button, because it really helps me out. It will help you out, keep the good content coming and good content fresh, and you will also get it live as and when we do it. So I'm going to jump into the chart now, and as you can see, obviously Bitcoin's had a little bit of a dump, but that's no surprise. And I'll just pop the image on here, but I didn't get my video out yesterday. I had sort of like a personal problem, so I didn't manage to get it out. But what I was going to talk about yesterday, I'll just talk about brief here, is I put this neckline in when Bitcoin was breaking up with this high volume. So you will see, obviously, yesterday we sort of like seen this big high volume here, which to me is the smart money then pumping a little bit, because there's no key level. You see these big blocks here. You see this one here. Obviously it was a big amount order in, and obviously the bears tried to push it down a little bit, and it sort of bounced nicely off this moving average here, which is obviously, just for the sake of this video, I say the 200-day moving average. This is, for some reason, I'm not a big moving average person, but for some reason in the sort of smart world, the 200-day moving average was a big psychological trend mark for a lot of investors, because once Bitcoin dumped below the 200 day moving average, they tend to get a little bit of a fear, and they tend to dump off a little bit. You can see here it's gone below, and it's never gone back up until we got this smart money move in, and they pumped it back up, because obviously now the price needs to be getting, you know, pumped back up. But the last little bit of ring out of your hard-earned money was here. You see where this bit of volume came in. See, it was crap volume, like low volume. This is the D line, so around about the 30,000 mark. I'll just switch this down a little bit so we can sort of see a little bit more of the chart. You see here, this was like the 30,100 mark. Well, near there, sorry, 30,900 mark, and it bounced off there. Now I'm going to show you this key fundamental here is exactly when we had that big, or way down the chart, when we had that big correction move, it also bounced off this, well, just nearly off this line, just as much as it did when we sort of hit the bottom here. And this is why I personally think that was, certainly for the short term, the bottom. And then the market behavior seemed to have thought that as well. So obviously it put the volume in there. Once it hit there, you see obviously this will be people sort of like having a decision, we're keeping an upturn, and then bang, look at all this volume that starts coming in. It's not high, but this obviously pumped up. And the reason I'm saying this is because I think this was a bit of a turning point. Now we're seeing this trend line now start crossing up, and this is why I drawn the neckline, because obviously I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and we were drawing sort of like an inverse head and shoulders right the way back from here. So we've got the shoulder here, we've got the head here, and that's why I thought this would be the shoulder here, sorry, neck here. This would be the perfect neckline if we was going to break out to that. But it obviously bounced off this neckline, and now is forming what's called like another shoulder. Now, we always have to be careful, especially if you look back at the past charts, that categorically we've been looking, obviously I've put this into support now and it was resistance, but what's been happening is obviously you can see like we've sort of been bouncing here, and they've been putting key resistance here. You see, obviously we had a bit of a fake out here, which was a fake out of this as well, and then we jumped back in, and this support here was sort of like the resistance, and then it dropped down, and then the selling at the resistance and buying at the support. So I knew this neckline was going to be sort of like a key area, so we had to be careful. Now what I was glad to see, and let me know if you agree, and I know a lot of other YouTubers and people that are quite bullish in the market agreeing with as well, is that we didn't have a drop. I mean, yeah, all right, we've got a little bit of downside here, but that's not nothing really. We didn't see a drop when it got rejected at the neckline here. We sort of seen a sideways consolidation. Now this is good, because then this is sort of forming out another shoulder to this head and shoulders pattern. But what it also is calling is this support line here, which is sort of like the very top of this head here, and this moving average, the 200-day moving average coming up, is providing strong support for Bitcoin's next move. Now Bitcoin's at the moment around about the 37,000 mark. So if we're seeing like sort of like a little bit of a dip here and then breaking this neckline here, we could see Bitcoin then shoot up to the next fundamental resistance, which will be 41,000, and then once it breaks 41,000, we should be looking around about, and you'll see from here, past trades here, we should be looking around about the 50, I think that's around about the 56,000 mark. Yeah, sorry, I've just got to shoot this down a little bit. Yeah, so sorry, no, it's even higher than that. It's around about the 58,000. So for me, that'll be a key fundamental area, and these are the kind of lines I'm watching. Now, I see this as a very positive move for Bitcoin. This kind of pump here that we've seen from the bounce on the 30,000, we did see here. We did see this kind of volume come in. It got retested, and then sort of went sideways before it went down, and then sort of, I mean, people say we broke out of this neckline, but to me, if you have a look at this key area here, we just went sideways, because like, yeah, okay, we've got this up and down, but it's very small movement, like range. There's no real range here, so we're just looking like sideways. We broke out. We didn't really even touch any of this resistance and support. We was well below the support here for my liking, and this was crazy. This was just like, again, the smart money wringing out the last bits of Bitcoin that they could get on a fire sale price. And I'm not ashamed to say that, yeah, when it dropped down to 31,000, I think it was about just over 32. Just under 32,000. I brought my more Bitcoin because, and I wasn't buying it to just sell here. I was genuinely buying it because I thought these areas here are the bottom, and for me to even be worried. So if it broke 30,000, so say this line here, if it broke below that and we seen a bounce and it got rejected from this point, I'd be a little bit worried. But obviously Bitcoin's a long-term hold for me, so I'm not too worried about that. But for the short-term immediate price, what we'd like to see is this head and shoulders play out. Then we'd like to bounce up and hopefully see where Bitcoin plays out on this resistance. But I don't think in the short, medium term, because there's still a lot of fear in the market. There's a lot of retention there with people holding on to their Bitcoins and stuff like that. We've got unforeseen circumstances that came in with the sort of environmental news and the mass flood and stuff like that I spoke about. But I think all that's past us now, and I think the weight of that's sort of gone. So what I'm liking to see Bitcoin is do now is do its little sideways trend. It might come back down and sort of like bounce off the 200-day moving average, but it will slowly grind its way up, hopefully play out this shoulder, break the neckline, and start grinding its way up to hit this resistance here. And then we'll obviously be talking about Bitcoin. Where is it going to go? Because we have to take this in stages, right? There's no mass kind of excitement, euphoria in the market at the moment. The gamblers are not in the market at the moment, which they were at the beginning of the year. The long-term kind of Bitcoin investors are probably filled their bags already, because they would have been quite smarter and they would have been filling it around here and here. So this was, in my opinion, just a last-ditch attempt to squeeze out all the weak hands in the market, cash out the longs, squeeze out the last weak hands before we start coming up here, grinding up and getting Bitcoin up to where it comes. Now, I know a lot of people, and again, comment below or tell me what you think, a lot of people have been talking about the daily moving average, which is, we can't say the actual word, but the cross that everyone is fearing. Now, for me, I'm not too worried about that. I mean, if it does dip below, I don't think it'll be below there for long. But what I think we might see here is like we've seen before, is the sort of 50-day compared to the 200-day moving average. So the 50 will kiss the 200 and probably start breaking to the upside. But if you have a look, when we had the last big move, which was back in sort of beginning of the year, we had this big sort of move up, then we had this consolidation phase before we had this big move up again. Now, everyone's saying this bit is the Wyckoff thing, and I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer that this is where most of the market manipulation happened, and this is definitely coincidental with the Wyckoff thing. But I think this is a step up to higher things. So this is definitely not, this is happening here and it pumped, this is happening here and we pumped down. I definitely think that the consolidation, if you have a look at, this is the consolidation from here, just stretched out. I mean, we can shrink it lower like that, and you can see, obviously you can see that's from there, and we'll shrink this lower, and you see the consolidation is pretty similar. It's not that far off, you know, and we've got the consolidation phase there. And obviously we know what happened once the consolidation phase, but what I want to point out is, well, here, but look at the actual D line that's in there. And D line to me just means like decision line, nothing crazy, nothing, but it was the same bounce, it was the same support there that we were having here before we're going up. Yes, obviously that was getting tested more with the bodies of the candles, and this is getting tested more with the wicks of the candles, but it's still the same principle. And it was still, if you have a look at these lines here, like this neckline, this was not being considered when I drew this neckline. Only this was being considered because of this head and shoulders pattern moving out. But if you see, it's absolutely playing key to the same kind of consolidation here. Now, the neckline has got a little bit of a breakout. This had a bit more of a fake out, sorry, and went down a bit and then pumped up. This had a little bit more, it went down a bit, and now we're starting to pump up, because obviously, as you can see on the daily, we broke down and then we're on the way up to the neckline. You can see here we broke down less dramatically, it was more of a grind down, and then we had this big kind of volume candle here and a big kind of volume here, and then we started low volume. If you have a look here, low volume grinding up, and that's pretty much what I think it. I don't think it'll be a shoot like a big bull run up like this. I think it'll be a slow grind up to test these levels. Now you can see here that this kind of area and this kind of area is already getting tested, and there was a bit of a parabolic move here to get up. But I mean, it's not. I'm gonna just jump on this one here a second, just to get in. So from sort of this stage here, where everyone was so like bullish and stuff like that, from where we dumped, it was only. Let me have a look. We're looking at about. Oh, that's quite big actually. It's 83%. So Bitcoin's got a long way to go to sort of get to these kind of numbers. And if we have a look from here, I'd say Bitcoin to do 83% from here would have to go to 56,700. Now, it's not a million miles away, considering how quick Bitcoin pumps up, but I don't think it, like I say, it'll be a massive like pump straight back up. I think it'll be a bit of a grind. Now, I could give you some waffle about it's forming this pattern. I just don't think it is. I think before the retail get confidence and the extreme fear that's in the market at the moment, I think it'll be driven by the smart money. And the smart money needs to be satisfied that it's rung all the weekends out, it's cashed out all the longs, and it's ready to pump its money back into the market. It's happy to buy Bitcoin at this level because it will see Bitcoin go into its next moves, which is, you know, for the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, up to the 100 grand plus. And I genuinely think Bitcoin this year will at least get to 100,000. There's people a lot more bullish and there's people a lot more bearish, but I'm just giving you my real in-depth rundown here about how I see Bitcoin doing with this consolidation here, with this consolidation here, which is capitalization. If you speak to anyone that knows about smart money, knows about investing in trading, there's a guy from Southampton, I think, that worked in London, that wrote a book called Trading in the Shadows of the Smart Money, and he's a big fan of the volume. He does a lot of work around the volumes, and he knows about how the smart money squeezes out and squeezes in, and that's what I was looking at for the past, it's got to be a past 3-4 years now. I've been sort of trading in the FX based on them kind of methods, and this exactly applies to this. So in short, obviously I've gathered a lot of people detail, and I don't worry, there'll be timestamps in here where you can have detailed analysis or an overview analysis. And the overview analysis is Bitcoin is in a consolidation, capitalization stage where the smart money wants to sort of accumulate a bit more before it starts its move upwards. Now, I know people saying when it breaks support it might be going down and we could touch down to the 20 odd thousands marks, but I think with how strong this 30,000 support line is, it'd have to take an unforeseen circumstance or an unforeseen silly person, which we have seen, so it's not out of the books, but I think that kind of phase is over. I don't think there's any more news that can sort of be thrown at us. So I think now we're just going to get on with the market, get on with what we like to do best, and that's just use crypto for what it is, the new favorable asset class in town, like Bitcoin is, and crypto's the new kid on the block, and just crack on with like making money, you know, and enjoying it, you know, the buzz, the excitement. You've got to remember, I know we all want to make money in crypto, but enjoy it. You know, I enjoy it, don't get me wrong. I like, yeah, my portfolios take a bashing, and yes, it's mostly just profits that are getting hit, not my actual original capital. But, you know, I'm like anyone else, and I'm just going to say this quickly before I get onto the news. I'm like anyone else. When I was newbie into crypto, I what called pay my initiation fee. And what I mean by paying my initiation fee was I lost money in crypto. When you're a newbie, everyone has, I don't care who they are, every person that's invested in crypto, trading in crypto has lost money at some point. And it's just your initiation into crypto. And then what happens is you learn from that mistake. You start thinking, okay, hold on a minute, I better pump some more time into this. I better start getting smarter. And if you want to be in crypto a long time, you obviously have to do that. and then you start making money. And that's why I'm excited about crypto. I've passed that stage. I'm into the stage now where I love doing the YouTube, I love doing the technical analysis, I love doing the information gathering, I love doing sort of like the portfolio and the altcoin kind of like consolidating together and knowing about the fundamentals, because not a lot of people pay enough attention to the fundamentals, and project fundamentals are what keeps a coin or a token, like, because obviously there's a difference between a coin and a token, and what keeps it going for a long period of time, and what will see it through the bear market. So obviously the reason you put a lot of effort into the fundamentals is because obviously this bull market's going to come to an end soon, and you want to know where you're going to rest your laurels and your hard-earned money into projects, coins, tokens that are going to see out the bear market in order for you to accumulate good levels to be even better, smarter and richer on the next bull run. So that's about all at the moment for the Bitcoin analysis until tomorrow, and who knows what can happen from now to tomorrow. And I realise I've overshot, as I do, because I get excited with the Bitcoin thing, and I really wanted to put some in-depth detail into today's Bitcoin chart, because you know it's important for people out there to get educated, because you're extreme fear at the moment. The new people in this channel is all about the new people, and it's wanting, I don't want anyone to get wrecked, I don't want anyone to get scammed. So I learn about the smart money in order to educate, some people don't like the word the dumb money, but the, you know, the retail money. And this is what's happening. So keep your eye on the charts, keep your eye on these levels, but I think at the moment, for the time being, I think we've seen the bottom here, and now it's just a case of if we break these all important resistance and moving average lines. Okay, so I'm going to cover one key piece of news quickly, and we'll just jump off this chart, because I feel like there's a massive piece of FUD that's been put out there in the market, and I want to sort of really clear this up, because you know it's beggars belief that people put this kind of rubbish out there. And yes, why something similar did happen, they tend to twist and manipulate a bit, and that's the bit of news that the FBI managed to snatch Bitcoin or hack into a Bitcoin wallet. Now let me explain this to you, because obviously I'm like you, I look at the news and I think, whoa, the first instinct is how, you know, the news don't talk rubbish, right? So I look into it a bit more, and I'm thinking, how the heck can the FBI crack a wallet encryption key when it is like, you know, you'd probably be better off just trying to mine the rest of the Bitcoin left in the world than you would trying to crack that key. And after looking into it more, and I'll just go into the news quickly here. Justin Wolfers here, like what Justin Wallis, don't know about Wolfers. News that the government has figured out how to snatch Bitcoin from an online wallets, and cyber criminals surely reduces the user case for Bitcoin even further. Now, that to me is a surprising tweet to put out when it's so uneducated. And the reason it's uneducated, and I'm going to tell you now, is the FBI did not manage to crack a wallet. They did not manage to snatch any cryptocurrency from a wallet. What they were able to do is gain access to where the criminals took that took the Bitcoin from and stored it, you know, because obviously it's a long process, and I'll put a link in the description onto someone that's gone into this in great deal. But what they actually did is they were just able to get access to a cloud kind of server where that stuff was being stored. They didn't manage to crack into a wallet. They didn't manage to crack into anyone's encryption key. They just managed to get onto the cloud server base where that was being stored. Now, anyone knows that all the FBI need to do that is serve a subpoena, and the cloud server people will have to then give them access to that cloud server, which is either not ingenious or genius. It's not technical. It's not anything. It's just what the law says they're allowed to do. But for people to start then tweeting and saying this triggered a discussion, can it break through the SH256 encryption, and if so, why? Wasted ability on unlocking Bitcoin to waste contents of 2 million. That was absolute rubbish. No one cracked the SH256. Do you know what I mean? It was just a load of FUD and FOMO in the market to say, you know, Bitcoin needs to be driven down further, just like the same news about the environmental. All the news came out within the space of like hours of each other about all this environmental thing. It was all done within the space of like 2 to 3 weeks. It was not talked about before these 2 to 3 weeks, and it's slowly not being talked about after these 2 to 3 weeks. What I think happened there is, yes, obviously this bit of news about the encryption cracking is absolutely rubbish. It's not the government's not taking over. It's not the FBI didn't crack anything. They've not got anything that can do that, or all the wallets are not at risk. So the FUD and FOMO of that out there just needs to stop, because you know it's important that people are educated and know about what that news actually was. Now, I'm just gonna before I wrap up this video, I'm just gonna quickly talk about one more bit of news that it's not new. It's obviously the news is out there that everyone knows about the environmental, and Bitcoin's bad for the environment and blah blah blah. And this again was a big damaging thing for Bitcoin. But what it was is it was institutions and companies' agenda. They consolidated together. It came out within a small period of time, 2 to 3 weeks. It wasn't talked about before, and it's not really being talked about after that it's a problem. But let me just explain quickly about what happened is they needed to create cause, they needed to create chaos, and now they're creating solution. So the cause was people tweeting that we've got to pull away Bitcoin because it's not environmentally friendly. The chaos was China's the main dominant people. China's using all this bad coal and and all this, which it was, but they obviously didn't talk about China's other side. China's other side of or the 50% of Bitcoin that's mined through renewable energy. None of that was spoken about. It was just the chaos. That's what I mean by the chaos. Just talking about the bad. So the cause was the Bitcoin's got a problem and it needs to be rectified. The chaos was these are the culprits. This is what it is. We want to snatch it back. And now we start hearing about the solution that Elon Musk is creating an environmental council, which again is not only just going to cause a lot more profit for them in Bitcoin, it's going to cause a lot more profit in now they have a whole tangible solution to build renewable energy, which I'll make money off, mine Bitcoin, which I'll make shed loads of money off, and be in control, although Bitcoin's not meant to be manipulated or anything anyway, be in control of this kind of council that oversees the mining of Bitcoin. So to me, they're saying we can't control Bitcoin, but we'll control how it's mined. Nah, it doesn't wash with me. And, I can't imagine it washes with a lot of people. But you can see what I'm saying here. They had the cause, they had the chaos, now they're offering a solution. And obviously, other countries are getting involved by saying they're going to create steam power from volcanoes to mine it. And this is all good. This is, to me, a good solution. The solution is good. I'm not knocking the solution, and no one's going to knock the solution. But it could have been done in a better way. But it's the same old case of other countries trying to land grab from other countries. They do it in an unethical and very aggressive and abrupt way, where they did this they want to control the mining of Bitcoin. We want to start the renewable energy. We want to take all the dominance away from China, where most of the Bitcoin's mined. We want to put it back in the sort of regulated states under the control of the people that are meant to be the crypto tycoons or the tyrants of crypto, and sort of get a grasp of it. But in order to do that, they had to dump on a lot of working class people. And this is why I come on. This is why I do this channel. And this is why I look at the smart money and how they're doing it, and I whistleblow everything that I find out about that into the sort of dumb money, as I call it, or the retail, because I'm not happy with, and it doesn't sit right with me, that the smart money is squeezing and taking away even more money from the working class, the hard people that are just investing to have a better life for themselves. Not investing out of greed, not investing out of, you know, big wigging, oh, I've got more money than you, and I've bought 2 yachts and I've bought 3 yachts. These people that are in, some of the people who are investing, in fact, a majority of the retail people investing in Bitcoin would only be boasting that I managed to put a bigger dinner on my family's table than I did a few weeks ago, thanks to Bitcoin. Do you know what I mean? So you see the fundamentals don't really sit right for me. And unfortunately, a lot of the hard-earning, hard-working citizens that invested in Bitcoin, probably naively or crypto naively, did get dumped on by manipulated people that, in my opinion, don't really need more money. In fact, they don't need more money. You know, when you've got billions, why do you need more? You ain't going to spend all that. It's just then it comes in the greed, the sort of like incredible orcas that you want to take more, you want to be more powerful, you want to be all green, you don't care who you tread on. And then why all that's going on, you tweeting and you're coming out on all these news platforms saying, oh, I've got ethics because I care about the environment and I care about whatever. I mean, you don't care about nothing. You just care about yourself and you care about your hard-earned thing. And we all want to make money. Don't get me wrong. We all care about our things. But we're not going to start robbing our neighbour to get more money, to get Bitcoin. And that's what's happening in crypto. They're robbing the retail to make the smart money more rich. It's just done in a legal way rather than a illegal way. So that being said, obviously that completes today's rundown. The Bitcoin price is sort of broke from the bottom of 30,000, coming up now around the 36, 37. We want to see it break the neckline of this nice sort of like inverse head and shoulders that it's doing. But as we know, Bitcoin's volatile at the moment because there's extreme fear in the market, so it could get rejected at that. So we're just being mindful and watching that, and I'll report more of that in tomorrow's video. The news, FBI did not crack anyone's wallet, so let's just chuck that in the bin with Elon Musk's tweet and get on and move on with being good at crypto. And also that the environmental thing, it happened, they did the cause, they did the chaos, they're doing the solution. Okay, well done, clap your hands, you played everyone well, you made everyone lose a little bit of money, but now let's move on from it and crack on with the business at hand, and let's go and start making some more money and enjoying crypto more. So I'm Christian, this is Crypto Ripto, that's today's rundown, and as always, stay safe, trade smart, and don't get wrecked.